Good afternoon and welcome to the SR 520 Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid Project's July monthly construction meeting. My name is Alan Van and I am the Public Information Manager for the Skanska team. I will be kicking us off today before we dive into some exciting construction updates for you folks. Next slide, please. During today's meeting, you'll be hearing from myself, and then also Rayanna Pittman, the Skanska engineer, and then also Steve Peer with Washdot Communications. We also have several technical folks from the team as well who may be able to answer any questions that you may have regarding construction. It's likely that those will be answered verbally rather than in writing, but again, if you submit any questions in the Q&A box, please make sure that you're checking for any written responses there. For today's meeting format, we will start with a presentation on construction, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end of the meeting. We'll also have a brief pause. I know that many folks are really interested in the work that we have started in the Boyer Hillside. So after we run through several slides, we'll also pause and answer any questions that may come up during that time as well. We do have a lot of information compiled from our communication channels and methods that we have distributed over the course of the last week or so. So if you have any questions regarding the Boyer Hillside, we ask that you hold on to some of those while we present some of the information, and then as questions come up, feel free to submit those in the Q&A, and we'll go ahead and, again, take that brief pause, answer any questions that may be in the box. Next slide, please. I'll just briefly go over the agenda before I pass it over to Rayanna for construction updates. So at the very beginning of the meeting, we'll go ahead and talk about just project benefits and schedule, and then we'll dive into the construction updates. The first one will be the excavation near Boyer Avenue East, which I had just mentioned. We'll also talk about some of the drilled shaft work that we are doing in Roanoke Park. We'll talk about the lid foundation, some pile driving updates, a brief update on acoustic fence installation, an update on a traffic shift near the Montlake lid, and then also at the end, we'll talk about the Montlake Boulevard sign bridge replacement. After we talk about those construction updates, we'll talk about some upcoming traffic impacts, how to stay informed, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. With that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Ray for construction updates.
Thanks, Alan. Like Alan mentioned, we'll just pop on over to the next slide and I'll get into some construction updates. So again, good afternoon and thank you for attending our July monthly construction update meeting. My name is Rayanna Pittman and I am one of the engineers with Skanska, and I'll be walking you guys through the Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid project. Next slide, please. There we go. So currently, as our construction schedule shows on our screen, we are underway with our new westbound bridge construction and the Roanoke Lid construction. The new westbound bridge construction will continue through 2027 and our lid construction through 2029. And later this year, we'll begin our season 3 of our in-water impact pile driving. Next slide, please. This week, our project started the excavation near Boyer Avenue East. And like Alan mentioned, I'm going to spend the next few slides reviewing that work, and we'll pause for any questions before moving on to other project updates at the end of this update. Next slide, please. So starting this Monday, we began our round-the-clock work on the Boyer Hillside. We began excavating between East Roanoke Street Alley and SR 520, as shown on the screen. You may recognize it as the area next to the old Boyer Stairs. We are excavating and regrading this hillside to prepare the area for the permanent bridge foundations. Next slide, please. You can expect to see excavators moving loose soil down the hillside to a stockpile along Boyer Avenue East. This is hauled off by dump trucks that will travel up Boyer Avenue. The map of the excavation work shown here on the left hand of the screen shows a little bit of the haul route as well as the excavation area. We will replace the soil removed with new soil that is better suited for our new permanent infrastructure. Related to this work, we can expect 24/7 parking restrictions in and around the work zone on Boyer Avenue East. Dump trucks will enter and exit our work zone during our trafficked hours, which are from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. during the daytime, and then 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. nightly on our work days, Monday through Saturday. Next slide, please. So trucks will operate in our 2 shifts daily, again, Monday through Saturday. Our day shift, again, is 9:30 to 3:30 p.m., and our night shift is 8 to 6 a.m. There'll be an average of 24 to 36 truckloads during each day shift and 45 to 60 truckloads during each night shift. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about some of the trucking numbers and the operation in some upcoming slides, but the truck beds will be lined to reduce noise and loads will be covered during transport. And we have a no more than 5-minute idling project-wide, so trucks will not idle for more than 5 minutes while waiting to be loaded. The picture on the left just shows, again, some of the area that we'll be working in for that excavation. Next slide. So again, like I mentioned, I'll get into a little bit more detail about our trucking operations. We have a 6-hour shift during our daytime trucking, and we average 2 to 3 round trips for 12 trucks daily. And there's no trucking between our night and day shifts. We just do work within our work zone to prep for the next shift. So for the night shift, we have a 10-hour shift where we average 3 to 4 round trips for 15 trucks nightly. Trucks are staged on eastbound 520 until they're ready to be called into the neighborhood to haul away the material. So for total trucks in a 24-hour period, our average minimum is 24 loads during the day shift and 45 loads during the night shift. And then the average maximum for truck loads will be 36 loads during the day and then 60 loads per night. Our total average is 69 trucks per 24 hours, and the total maximum is 96 trucks per 24 hours. And then the estimated total truck trips for the entire excavation for this phase will be 2,000 trucks. And you can learn more again on the Construction Corner webpage. Next slide, please. So we have 2 phases for this operation. We are currently working in phase 1, which is approximately 2 months of work, which includes the dump trucks traveling on northbound Boyer Avenue East, access via Montlake Boulevard and other arterial streets to access our work zone. After crews remove this weak soil, excavators will load it into the dump trucks, and the dump trucks then leave the work zone, continuing northbound on Boyer Avenue East. Phase 2 will be approximately another 2 months, which will include dump trucks returning to replace the new soil. That will be better again for our new permanent infrastructure. And again, this will take roughly another 2 months. And we are looking into options to shortening this operation. Apologies. Next slide. So we just kind of wanted to address some of the methods and the original method that we considered to moving on to this new method, which includes the Boyer Hillside regrade. So we wanted to address that. Our original plan included construction of switchback roads up the hillside to allow for heavy construction equipment to access the new wall locations and soil excavation. Excavated soil would still be trucked off-site via the Boyer Ave using the same haul road as the regrade. We would then need to deliver new steel casings via crane on Boyer Avenue East. These casings would be vibrated into the ground over 100 feet, and the excavation of the soil inside of these casings would also be hauled away via truck. Installation of rebar and concrete inside these casings would follow, with concrete pump trucks needing to be stationed on Boyer Avenue East, and these concrete trucks would be coming back and forth along Boyer Avenue East to fill the pump. This operation would take about a day with multiple trucks to complete one shaft. Neighbors would experience vibration from casing installation and continuous concrete and dump truck traffic for at least 6 to 9 months for this operation alone. Our new method for the Boyer hillside regrade helps mitigate the risk of the hillside movement during construction. It reduces our concrete drill shafts by approximately 65 to 85%, and it reduces our timeline to approximately 4 months, if not sooner. And overall, this will better stabilize the hillside in the long term. Next slide, please. So for some options considered for this operation, I'm just going to walk through each one. We'll continue to actively evaluate options and keep you updated via our newsletter and other major project construction updates. So the first option, we considered a stockpile at the top of the hillside with nightly lane closures on westbound 520 for hauling. However, there's unstable soil at the top of the hillside that would not safely support the stockpile weight. And then this working at night would extend the duration of the operation. The second option considered would be conveyor belt to haul materials through Portage Bay. However, this would require building new structures and getting new environmental permits that could extend the project with 6 to 12 months. And then the third option is using the Southwest Work Trestle as a haul route instead of Boyer Avenue East. However, the trestle completion is not expected until fall when the rainy season begins. Next slide. So for some potential improvements within options we're considering is using Delmar Drive East to bring in new soil to help speed up the duration of the hillside work during construction. And the other option we're looking at right now is phasing the hillside excavation and Southwest Work Trestle construction concurrently to use the trestle for hauling sooner. This will likely result in additional noisy work. But I do want to highlight, because of sensitive soil sensitivities, each option requires extensive geotechnical analysis to make sure it's feasible and safe, and we'll continue to keep you updated via our weekly listserv and website. Next slide, please. So again, we have a new web page dedicated to the major construction updates on our Construction Corner website. And as we reach significant construction elements for this project, this page will provide additional in-depth information for the planned work. We'll pause here for any specific questions related to work with the hillside. We do have technical experts online from WashDOT who can help answer questions. And then just as a reminder, you can put your questions in the Q&A, and then the chat has been disabled. So I'll just pause here.
Great. Thank you so much for walking us through the Boyer excavation slides. As Ray mentioned, we will be pausing just for a little bit of time to let folks digest this information and have the time to type up any of their questions in the Q&A chat. As we progress through the rest of the presentation and go through our more standard construction updates, certainly feel free to continue submitting your questions in the Q&A about the Boyer excavation. Or if you don't have any questions at this moment, you can certainly reach out to us via the project inbox or our 24-hour hotline. In the meantime, we do have one question in the Q&A box queued up for us regarding some of the noise at night from this past week since the work has started. This neighbor on Boyer is asking about what work can potentially be shifted from nighttime work to daytime work in order to reduce noise and have less of an impact on neighbors. So Ray, could you walk us a little bit through what happens at daytime versus nighttime construction in the area and why we need to do it during each of those periods?
Yeah, I think also it might be helpful just to pop back to one of our earlier slides that shows the work area and the haul route, just so we have an idea of the area we're talking about again. Perfect. So We have a traffic closure during daytime hours from 9:30 to 3:30 p.m. This is, I believe, the west lane. It's on the west side of Boyer Avenue East, under the existing 520 bridge. We have this lane reduction during those hours to assist with trucking in and out. And then we do the same lane reduction again nightly to allow for those trucks to come through. During the day, we are excavating the soil down the hillside with the stockpile, and then we'll continue loading trucks. And then at nighttime, we're doing the truck loading as well. There might be some additional operations that either Robin Clark from Skanska can answer, or someone from WashDOT can provide some more context to why we specifically need to work during those hours, but it has a lot to do with our allowable traffic reduction hours of when we can do our operation. And earlier this week, it also was our first start, so we're just ramping up to construction. So maybe if you're not seeing as much activity during the day, the operation will ramp up as we continue. I hope that answered your question.
Great. Julia, if you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to submit a follow-up in the Q&A, or send us an email or call our hotline. We do have one additional question. What impacts on Harvard Avenue East were considered, given the I-5 North entrance will be closed until fall? It has been a traffic nightmare in the neighborhood.
We might be able to provide some more in-depth if you email our construction email. However, we do have pre-approved haul routes with the city that we're using for this work. So I'm not sure specifically what was considered with Harvard, but we have a pre-approved haul route that we're using for this work.
Yeah, Kyle, we can follow up with you via email. We have one other question that came in. Will the delays for Boyer commuters get even longer than they currently are? Typically, it seems the direction of travel is allowed and alternating every few minutes. Will this remain the same or worsen?
I will say with our flaggers that we're using for the lane reduction, they kind of assess the safety of the area and what activities if trucks are coming in and out. So they do alternate traffic as best as they can and assess the conditions while keeping our work zone safe as well as the public and commuters safe. So the flagging is really a little bit dependent on what operation and how traffic is traveling at that time.
I will also add, if there are any days or moments where you feel like traffic is especially bad, certainly feel free to reach out to us and share that feedback with us. Any and all feedback regarding traffic impacts, noise impacts, etc., are helpful for our team to track and see if there's any opportunity for follow-up. Additionally, with the hours that we have for daytime and nighttime uh, lane closures, we did work closely with the City of Seattle to get this approved, and we are trying to avoid the standard commuting hours as much as possible. That should hopefully alleviate some of the backups that are experienced. We do have uh, another question requesting a map. Would you please show a map of the overall area from 10th? And then the question does cut off. Um, Nancy, if you want to follow up with us via email, we can certainly send you a map of the area that you're requesting. Or if you want to resubmit your question in the Q&A, we'd be happy to get back to that. We have a question about parking on Boyer Avenue East. What is your team doing to protect parking for homeowners on Boyer Avenue?
Yes, like this slide says, and as I previously mentioned, we do have 24 parking restrictions in and around the work zone on Boyer Avenue East. We do try to keep it as close to our work zone and only use the areas that we absolutely need to assist with crew, parking, inspectors, people coming in and out to visit the work zone and keep an eye on things. I will say we try to limit it as much as possible and consider what the impacts are to the neighbors.
We have another question regarding traffic. Has there been consideration to close Fierman Ave or Boyer Avenue to local traffic only, so some of the trucks scheduled for nighttime hauling can be moved to daytime hours?
Apologies, I'm just going to reread the question to make sure I understand it fully. I know some of the local access only signs that we have during our traffic closures, we do consider them and look into them, but it requires some more coordination with the city. If we can certainly look into some of those options if we're seeing that it's needed.
And Anne, if you have any follow-up questions or if you need to expand on that or get additional clarification from us, we're happy to provide that as well. We're going to pause for about another minute just in case folks are still typing up any questions. If there's any slide that you want us to go back to reference to help inform your question or just have this information to share with your neighbors, please don't hesitate to ask as well. As Ray mentioned on the last slide of this section of the presentation, we do have this information posted on our construction corner as well. So sr520construction.com will have more detailed information about some of this work. I think with that, we can go ahead and proceed with the rest of the presentation. Again, if any additional questions come up, either regarding the Boyer excavation or any of the work that we're going to cover in the next couple of slides, feel free to submit those in the Q&A box at any moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. I'll continue with the rest of the project updates, and I'll just reiterate, feel free to come back to questions about the hillside and we can address them at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So as you may be aware, we're almost done installing our drilled shaft casings for our new westbound bridge. And I'll spend the next few slides just kind of talking about what's next in that operation and what that looks like. Next slide, please. We are currently working on bridge piers 4 through 8, which are shaded green in this image. We're going to do that through the summer. And our new westbound bridge has 12 total piers, as you can see and counted out in the image shown on the screen. Next slide, please. Once we have our casings down to their final depths, we remove the soil from inside each casing. We will use a crane-mounted drill and large drill to excavate the material. And this material is hauled away to our staging area near the Montlake lid. And once the material is dry, it's hauled off site. And any water pumped out of each casing is treated in our system near the Montlake playfield and Roanoke Park. Next slide, please. So once the soil from inside each casing is removed, we'll begin our rebar cage installation. Our first rebar cage was delivered from Kenmore recently, and these rebar cages are roughly between 99 and 130 feet long. Once placed, we will pour the concrete to fill the shaft, and this will be daytime and nighttime work, and we can expect barge deliveries from Kenmore to Portage Bay on weekdays, and we are estimated roughly 2 barge trips per week once the operation really ramps up. Our image kind of shows how the crane picks up the rebar cage and then can install it inside the casing. So we have to take it from vertical to horizontal using our cranes. Next slide, please. We have a new tracking map. If you're familiar with the monthly construction update meetings, we've been tracking via visual map what casings are completed. This one we'll use to show our excavation, rebar, and concrete drilled shaft operation as it moves from west to east. We'll be starting, I believe, next week with our excavation at Pier 4, which is the closest to Boyer Avenue East, shown on the right side of the bridge in this picture. Next slide, please. Moving on to our lid foundation update. Our work continues to progress for our Roanoke lid, so I'll talk about that. Next slide. Oh, there we go. Our lid foundation consists of these 4 piers shown. The orange shaded one labeled 1 represents the foundation, or some of the orange shaded, it just represents the foundations that are remaining where we have not started construction yet. Work for Pier 1 will begin later this summer. That is the southernmost pier for the lid. The blue shaded one labeled 4 is our lid Pier 4, which that operation is currently ongoing. Next slide, please. Just a couple of the construction sequence to build each lid pier. We prepare our work zone by regrading and just making room for our operation. Then we'll oscillate the casings into the soil, set rebar, and pour concrete. And once these pillar forms are there, we can pour our concrete and it will cure, and we'll remove the forms and then pour concrete caps on each of the pillars. This picture shows lid Pier 2, which was completed earlier this year. This is in between eastbound and westbound 520 in the Roanoke area. Next slide, please. This image kind of depicts a little bit of the operation. First, we use the oscillator to rotate the casing back and forth into the ground, supported by a crane. We then use a grab bucket, which is an attachment to the crane, to excavate out the soil from inside the casing. And then we will pour the concrete after that. And then each new casing is added as the shaft gets deeper, and we'll still continue to use the oscillator to do that. Next slide, please. We recognize that these are major construction activities, and the impacts that the neighbors can expect through the summer include noise from construction equipment and vibration from construction activities, including but not limited to those on the screen shown. And you can expect daytime and nighttime work related to these operations. Next slide, please. To mitigate these impacts, we use white noise backup alarms on our vehicles, as well as installing 8 to 12-foot acoustic fences in locations around our project area. The image shows our acoustic fence along East Roanoke near the fire station. Next slide, please. Perfect. One of our other traffic shifts that's related to this project is upcoming. Is the temporary overpass that will assist us when we close 10th and Delmar to continue with our lid construction. Our lid piers that we're currently building will support this traffic switch that will occur next year. Crews will remove 10th and Delmar Drive and then build the remaining parts of the foundation of the Roanoke lid. So this shows on the top of the image, that's East Roanoke Street, just for frame of reference. And then the orange shaded areas are the existing 10th Avenue East and Delmar Drive East. We put a rendering of what the temporary overpass will look like to assist us in continuing to keep live traffic operational while we complete our Roanoke lid. Next slide, please. Acoustic fence updates. Next slide. There we go. Acoustic fence installation continues throughout our project limits. We have started installation along Boyer Avenue East near the Portage Bay condominiums. We also have installation in progress between 10th and Delmar. We, on the west side of 10th, will pick that up in August. And then we have some additional panels scheduled also in August over on the east side of the project near Montlake Boulevard and I believe West Montlake Place. Next slide. So for these upcoming slides, I'm going to pass it on over to Steve Pierre with WashDOT.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I've just got a few slides here to talk about some things that we are doing as part of the Montlake project, which was the project before the Portage Bay Bridge and Roanoke Lid project. So if you go to the next slide, I can kind of walk through that. Well, actually, this is probably for you, Ray, but I can talk about
Oh no, I apologies. There
it.
was a moment that's
Yeah, no, go
it's
ahead.
okay. Thanks, Steve. All right. I can talk about this. So, pile driving we completed uh, earlier this summer, located between Montlake Boulevard, the off ramp, and the existing Portage Bay Bridge. This will assist us with another traffic switch that will occur later this year, where we'll shift both directions of eastbound and westbound 520 onto the new temporary bridge. Next slide. We're preparing to remove the old off ramp to Montlake Boulevard. Earlier this year, we had shifted traffic onto our temporary off ramp to Montlake Boulevard. This demo work will require an extended 7-day closure of the new temporary SR 520 off ramp to Montlake Boulevard, and we'll communicate the date and time of this closure as soon as we have that information. Next slide. Once we've removed that old off-ramp to Montlake Boulevard, we're going to complete building our new temporary bridge in this area. The shaded gray area with the alternating green arrows for traffic directions gives an example of what that will look like. And as I mentioned, we'll shift both eastbound and westbound traffic onto the new temporary bridge. Next slide. Once traffic is shifted, we'll remove a section of the existing bridge that's in conflict with our new westbound bridge to complete the installation of the new permanent foundations for that bridge. And we're looking at this traffic shift at the end of this year. Next slide. Now I pass it to Steve. Sorry.
Hey, no problem at all. Let's go into our slides and I can talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing. We did last weekend and we're going to do again in August. If you can go to the next slide, that would be fantastic. Here we go. Last weekend, as many of you know, we had some things to do with the old Montlake project. We're installing we're replacing some signs. And just to give you a background, back in 2023, we put up 2 sign bridges over Montlake. We heard back from the community. They didn't particularly like the size and the appearance of those. We put together work groups. We sent out surveys, did a lot of things. And this work group came up with some recommendations. Fast forward to this summer, and we are actually doing those things. So to do that work, we had to close Montlake Boulevard across 520 for 2 weekends. Last weekend we did one, and then we're doing another one in August 21st through the 24th. That this shows the closure area. And we're also using it, we used it last time and we'll do it again this week, this upcoming weekend to do some of the closeout items from the Montlake project. This is essentially the limits of the closures. If you go to the next slide. Yeah. So on the right, and maybe you can move your cursor over the sign bridge that we are going to remove. That sign bridge is south of 520. Um, and we are going to replace it with what is on the left side, which are um, mast arm signs. So they have a little bit less visual impact on the community. And we did all of the foundation work and things of that nature last weekend, with exception of one sign bridge or mast arm foundation, which are doing really literally as we speak. So there'll be two mast arms like what's on the left side for northbound and one mast arm for southbound. If you can go to the next slide. Yeah, this shows the location on the right. The green diamonds show where the new mast arms are going to go. The orange one is that existing sign bridge that's going to be removed just north of Roanoke. And that bottom one there is one that we're working on right now. We were actually planning to do that last weekend, and we ran into some utilities that were not known to us. So we had to reroute those, and that's why we're doing the work right now as we speak. Last night we funneled this area from 4 lanes down to two to dig the foundation. Today we're putting foundations up so that we can pour the concrete tomorrow, and they'll all be ready for the August weekend closures. On the left, you can see the size of those foundations for the mast arms. They're smaller. They take up less of a footprint. So all of the visual work will be seen on Monday, August 24th, when we'll have new signs, new mast arm structures, and the removal of that large sign bridge. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks.
Steve. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Steve. That was a great update. The last little portion of our project updates, I'm going to review the upcoming traffic impacts we're expecting. Next slide. Sharing a little bit more with a further projection of upcoming traffic updates, just to get a good idea of project. Starting on July 20th, eastbound 520 will have a nightly lane closure from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., as well as Boyer Avenue East closure from 8 to 6 a.m. We also have the daytime lane closures along Boyer from 9:30 to 3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m., which all assisting with our regrading of that hillside. On August 8th, there'll be an eastbound 520 closed from 7 p.m. Saturday to 11 a.m. Sunday, as well as also on August 8th, Montlake Boulevard on-ramp to westbound 520 will be closed from 9 p.m. Saturday to 9 a.m. Sunday. August 10th through August 13th, Delmar Drive will be closed from East Roanoke Street to 11th Avenue nightly from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., so it'll be open during the daytime. And from August 21st to August 24th, Montlake Boulevard will be closed from East Hamlin Street to East Louisa Street from 10 p.m. Friday to 6 a.m. Monday. Again, for that mast arm construction that Steve was just talking about. And then from July 13th to December 31st, the northbound I-5 is reduced from 2 lanes over the Ship Canal Bridge, and this is a part of the Revive I-5 project. You can visit Construction Corner for the most up-to-date closure information.
Great. Thank you so much, Ray, for walking us through the presentation. And thank you, Steve, for talking about the Montlake sign bridges. In the next slide, we will be starting to dive into the Q&A portion of today's meeting. We did cover quite a bit of ground during today's meeting, so I'm sure there are several questions outstanding regarding some of Skanska's construction updates and some questions regarding the sign bridges themselves. There are a couple of questions for you, Steve, but before I kick
Yeah.
those over to you, I'll just go over a couple of outreach updates and reminders with you folks to give everybody some time to type out additional questions. So to help you all stay informed and up to date with our work, we'll continue hosting these monthly meetings to make sure that you all know about what's coming in the immediate future. Later this summer, we'll also host an in-person open house that will give you more of a long-term overview of what to expect over the course of the next year and also for the remainder of the project. So make sure that you're signed up for our email updates to receive notice for when that open house will be hosted. We also have our construction corner, which we've referenced a couple of times throughout the presentation, sr520construction.com. On that website, you'll find all of the traffic-related effects that Ray had just walked us through in the last slide, as well as some information about the Boyer excavation work, as well as a document library that has all of our FAQs that we've posted throughout the project lifetime, and a recording of today's meeting and a PDF of today's presentation as well. If you scan the QR code, that will also bring you to our landing page that has a link to all of our major project resources and a link to sign up for project email updates. And then, as I mentioned, we'll continue hosting meetings as well. With that, looks like we had just a couple of more questions in the chat. Two questions regarding the sign bridges. And I'll just read those out for you to respond to, Steve. So first question, can you be clear about the timeline for removal of the freeway style sign bridges? And then follow-up question, what do current delays in concrete pouring mean for the removal of the two sign bridges?
Okay. Yeah, I probably could have explained better. Maybe if we could go back to the visual that you showed, um, Alan, go to the next slide, please. And well, this is a good slide that'll be able to explain that. There is a sign bridge that's on the lid that will remain there. But the sign bridge that is furthest south, that is the one that's the one that's staying. The one south is being removed. That one that you're showing right there. The work group went through these sign bridge structures and made recommendations, and their recommendation was to remove the one further south. There was also another one way up north that was going to span the southbound lanes. That one never went up. So to replace all of that, one mast arm will go on southbound up north of the Montlake lid, and two mast arms will go on Montlake south of the lid. So there should be no delays. All of the work will be done in that August weekend where the sign bridge on the southern part will be removed and the three mast arms, which you can kind of see on the left of this slide, will be put up. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great. It looks like that also answered the second question that we had regarding the sign bridge design and structures themselves. That does look like to be the only other question that we have in the queue currently. I will give another minute or so for folks to type out any of their questions. If we could jump to the comments and questions slide, thank you. Just as a reminder, for any of the questions that you may have, please submit them in the Q&A box. If you don't have a question right now, or if you have several questions to send over to the team, you can go ahead and send us an email at sr520bridge at washdot.wa.gov. If you need that for easy reference, it is in the Q&A box as well. So you'll be able to reference that for any future questions that you may have. Let's see. Does look like okay. We have one more question that just came in. When is the 7-day closure of the 520 exit ramp for Montlake? Didn't see that on the calendar of the upcoming work. That those dates are still being determined, but we will go ahead and share those out on our construction corner and via the rest of the West listserv as soon as those dates are solidified. But we are looking at sometime potentially this fall. If there aren't any other questions, or folks are still typing, I do have one final slide to go over. And if nothing is submitted by the end of that, then we'll go ahead and end the meeting just a little bit early. So next slide, please. As I mentioned, the today's meeting will be or is being recorded, and we will be posting a recording as well as a PDF of today's presentation on the Construction Corner webpage in the next couple of days. If for whatever reason you need it before it's posted, feel free to send us an email, and we'll go ahead and send that over to you. Um, but yeah, with that, I think that's the end of today's presentation. So we'll go ahead and give you folks a little bit of time left. For folks who had any sort of outstanding question, or we'll be following up with you via email. So be on the lookout for an email from the project inbox over the course of the next couple of days. Thanks everybody for your time, and we will see you all next month. Take care.